I'd like to take you through how to make the most of your exam block, how to plan it out in such a way that you maximise your revision time and your preparedness for exams. We've got three aims, really, that we want to achieve in this process. First of all, we need to give each subject the time it deserves, that it needs for you to prepare well for the exam. We need to keep your stress levels down, and one of the ways you can do this is to make sure that you've got everything covered and you're not just lurching from one crisis to the next. And thirdly, to keep yourself on task and to make sure that everything gets done, it's best to make a plan. What we're aiming to do is to make sure that you can do the absolute best that you can on each of the exams you've got coming up. So, how do we do it? We need to make a plan. And there's 10 steps. First, set yourself up a calendar between right now and the end of the exam block. You can set this up in Word or Excel, doesn't really matter. Do it on paper if you like. Secondly, divide each day into 3 blocks. Now make those blocks as long as you can, realistically, knowing how you study and how you're working. Just pick 3 timings. When I was at school, I would do 3 3-hour blocks. 3 3-hour blocks in a day is quite achievable. 9 to 12, 1 to 4, 6 to 9 at night. Still leaves plenty of room for relaxation, meals, sleeping, all that sort of stuff. So divide each day into 3 blocks and make the blocks as long as you sensibly and realistically can. Secondly, put in your exams. They're fixed. Once you've done that, have a look at the week or the weeks and put in other commitments that you've got. For example, you might have class for this week before the exam block. You might have sport on Saturday, family events on Sunday morning. Put in all the commitments. Be realistic. Don't plan to study when you know you won't be able to. When you work on a Friday afternoon, evening, you know that you can't assign that to study. Fourthly, count up all the remaining blocks of time. Now, in this example, there's 18 blocks of time that you can use. Obviously, the 2 blocks after the math methods on the Friday is of no use to you. So 18 blocks before the last exam. And put down your exams and start with a roughly equal time allocation. In this case, I've said I'm going to give 3 blocks to each of my subjects, and I've got 3 blocks left over to play with. Now, this is where you need to make assessments of how long, relatively, each subject will take you to prepare. That sometimes depends on the nature of the exam. If, for example, the study of religion exam was simply an unseen essay that didn't require a lot of preparation, then you'd pull that 3 blocks back and devote it to another subject. If you had an exam in there which was an oral assessment, you might just need 1 block, for example, to rehearse it if you've written it well advanced of the exam block. So we start with a roughly equal time allocation, and we've got 3 blocks up our sleeve, so we then adjust them according to our needs. Specialist maths, you might assess, needs an extra block, so we've taken one of those up there, one of the spare ones. You might look at it and say, well, physics needs an extra block as well. That's a fair chunk of work to be done. You've only got 1 left in the spares now, and you might decide to allocate that, for example, to chemistry over here. So now you're reasonably satisfied. You might take some time to do this process, but now you're reasonably satisfied that you've got your allocations okay. It's a matter of building in these times. So down here I've got the 4 physics, the 4 chem, the 4 specialist maths, 3 study religion and 3 math methods blocks. And I start by building these in from the end and working back from the latest exam. So these 2 blocks are going to be math methods on the Thursday afternoon and evening. And always try and put 1 block for every subject early on in the piece so that you can check the entire course in that block and still have time to get help if you need to on any of the topics in that subject. So we've got math methods in the Thursday afternoon and an early block back on the previous Sunday. If we keep going with that, we'll assign chemistry next. So we've got a chemistry block here, 1 on the previous Sunday, 1 on the previous Saturday, and 1 right back at the start. Okay, and we do the same with specialist maths. We wanted 4 of those. Now there's 3 obviously need to go here, and 1 early block back on the Monday. So next I'd do study of religion. Study of religion takes these 2 blocks and this one here, and then finally physics with those 4 blocks there. So once you've done that, you've got a plan and you can just stick to it one day at a time. This is how it relieves pressure and stress during the exam block, because when you sit down on Wednesday evening, let's say here, to do some study, you've said you're going to do physics. That's all you need to focus on. Any worries you have about chemistry or study of religion or specialist maths, you can just tell yourself, no, I've got that covered. I've got those periods blocked in. Those blocks are ready to work on those subjects. Tonight, all I need to focus on is the physics that I said I was going to do. So that relieves a fair bit of stress from the studying process. And then it's just a matter of going well in each of your exams. You've taken charge of what you're doing. You've made a plan. You've allocated appropriate time. You're not just lurching from one crisis to the next, depending on the gaps in between the exams, and just studying for the next exam after the previous one is finished. You've taken control of your learning and you're going to do well. So, in summary, divide each day into 3 blocks, morning, afternoon and night. Make those blocks as large as you can. Put in your exams, put in your other commitments, total up the remaining blocks. Start by giving each subject equal time and then adjust them up and down according to what your needs are in terms of studying those subjects. Schedule these blocks into the calendar starting at the latest exam, the last exam, and have at least 1 early block for each subject so that you've got time to get help. Stick to your schedule, take it 1 block at a time, and do well. Only remains to wish you luck and to invite you to ask any of your teachers if you need any assistance with any aspect of studying for the exams.